If you've been spending hundreds of dollars on protein powders and supplements trying to maintain your muscle mass after 60, what I'm about to share might completely change your approach. Because there's a simple, affordable food that's been sitting in grocery stores for decades, scientifically proven to build and preserve muscle better than most expensive supplements on the market. And the shocking part? Most people over 60 are not eating nearly enough of it, while the supplement industry keeps selling them products they might not even need. I'm Dr. Emily Hartman, and I've been working as a geriatric medicine specialist for over 15 years. Throughout my career, I've seen thousands of older adults struggling with muscle loss, spending fortunes on supplements, when the solution was often much simpler and sitting right in their kitchens. What I've learned from both research and clinical experience has completely transformed how I guide my patients toward healthy aging. Before we dive in, if you haven't subscribed yet, I really recommend hitting that subscribe button and turning on notifications so you never miss another health tip made especially for you. If you enjoy this video, please leave your questions and video suggestions in the comments. I read every single one, and it helps me create more content to help people just like you. Let me start by telling you about someone who changed my entire perspective on this topic. Mr. Robert Chen, a 72-year-old retired high school teacher from San Diego, came to my office about 3 years ago. Robert had always been active. He loved gardening, playing with his grandchildren, and taking long walks on the beach with his wife of 45 years, Margaret. But over the previous 2 years, he noticed something terrifying. He was getting weaker. Simple tasks like carrying grocery bags, getting up from a chair, or even opening jars became increasingly difficult. He told me, with tears in his eyes, that he felt like he was losing his independence, and it scared him more than anything else in his life. Robert had done what many people do. He went to a supplement store and spent over $300 on protein powders, amino acid capsules, and muscle-building formulas. He took them religiously for 6 months, but saw minimal improvement. When I reviewed his diet diary, I discovered something shocking. Despite all those supplements, he was barely eating any whole food protein sources. His typical day included cereal for breakfast, a sandwich for lunch, and pasta for dinner. He thought the supplements would make up for everything. Here's what most people don't understand about muscle building as we age. After about 30 years old, we start losing muscle mass in a process called sarcopenia. We can lose 3 to 8% of our muscle mass per decade after 30, and this rate accelerates after 60. But this isn't inevitable. The right nutrition can dramatically slow down or even reverse this process. And I'm not talking about expensive powders or pills. I'm talking about real, whole foods that provide not just protein, but a complete package of nutrients your muscles desperately need. The food I'm talking about is eggs. Yes, simple, ordinary eggs. And before you skip ahead thinking you already know about eggs, let me share why eggs are genuinely superior to most supplements for muscle building, especially for older adults. Eggs contain the highest quality protein available in any natural food source. They have a biological value of 100, which means your body can use nearly all of the protein they provide. Compare that to many protein supplements that have lower absorption rates and often contain fillers and additives your body doesn't need. Let me tell you about another patient, Mrs. Sofia Martinez, a 68-year-old former dancer from Miami. Sofia had maintained her active lifestyle well into her 60s, teaching dance classes to other seniors 3 times a week. But after a fall that resulted in a hip fracture, she became terrified of losing more muscle and bone strength. Her daughter, trying to help, bought her expensive whey protein isolate and various supplements, spending nearly $200 monthly. Sofia came to me 6 months after her injury, frustrated because despite taking all these supplements, she still felt weak and her recovery seemed slow. When I asked her about her actual meals, she admitted she'd been so focused on timing her supplement shakes that she'd actually reduced her real food intake. She said the shakes made her feel full and nauseous, so she often skipped proper meals. This is a pattern I see repeatedly in my practice. I suggested Sofia try something different. Instead of the morning supplement shake, I recommended she start her day with 3 whole eggs, cooked any way she preferred, along with some vegetables and whole grain toast. For someone her size and activity level, I suggested she aim for 2 to 3 eggs at breakfast, and then ensure she had other protein sources throughout the day. Within 2 months, Sophia called me excited. She told me she had more energy, her muscle strength tests had improved significantly, and she felt like she was finally recovering properly. Plus, she was saving money and actually enjoying her food again. If you're still watching and finding this information valuable, comment a heart below to show me you're following along. It really helps me understand what content resonates with you. But here's what makes eggs so special beyond just protein content. Each egg contains about 6 grams of high-quality protein, but that's just the beginning. Eggs are packed with leucine, the most important amino acid for triggering muscle protein synthesis. Leucine acts like a switch that turns on your body's muscle-building machinery. One large egg contains about 537 milligrams of leucine, and research suggests older adults need about 2.5 to 3 grams of leucine per meal to maximize muscle building. That means 3 eggs at a meal gets you most of the way there. But there's more to the egg story that most people miss. The yolk, which many people unfortunately throw away, contains nutrients that are absolutely crucial for muscle health. Vitamin D, which is concentrated in the yolk, plays a vital role in muscle function and strength. Many older adults are deficient in vitamin D, and this deficiency is directly linked to increased fall risk and muscle weakness. Eggs also contain choline, essential for nerve function and muscle control. Without adequate choline, the signals from your brain to your muscles don't work as efficiently. Let me share the story of Mr. James Wilson, a 75-year-old retired firefighter from Chicago. James had been eating egg white omelets for years, believing the yolks were dangerous because of cholesterol concerns he'd heard decades ago. He was also taking multiple supplements, including protein powder, B vitamins, and vitamin D capsules. Despite this, he noticed his grip strength declining. He was having trouble with balance, and his doctor mentioned concerning signs of muscle loss during his annual physical. James was skeptical when I suggested he start eating whole eggs instead of just whites. He'd been terrified of cholesterol for so long. But I explained that for most people, dietary cholesterol from eggs has minimal impact on blood cholesterol levels. The cholesterol in egg yolks is actually accompanied by phospholipids that may help regulate how cholesterol is absorbed and processed in the body. More importantly, by discarding the yolks, he was throwing away most of the nutrients that support muscle and overall health. James agreed to try it for 3 months, eating 2 to 3 whole eggs most days, along with a balanced diet including fish, lean meats, beans, and plenty of vegetables. He also continued his regular strength training exercises that he'd done since his firefighting days. When he came back for follow-up, the change was remarkable. His grip strength had improved, his balance was better, and blood tests showed his muscle markers had actually improved. His cholesterol levels? They remained within healthy ranges. He told me he felt stronger and more stable than he had in 5 years. Now, you might be wondering, what about all those supplements on the market? Are they completely useless? Not necessarily. But here's what I've learned in my years of practice. Supplements can be helpful in specific situations. If someone has a diagnosed deficiency, if they have medical conditions that affect nutrient absorption, or if they genuinely cannot meet their nutritional needs through food alone, supplements can play a role. But for most people, especially when we're talking about muscle building and preservation, whole foods like eggs provide something supplements simply cannot match. Whole eggs deliver their nutrients in a natural matrix, meaning all the vitamins, minerals, proteins, and fats work together synergistically. When you eat an egg, you're not just getting protein. You're getting vitamin A for immune function, B vitamins for energy metabolism, selenium for antioxidant protection, and healthy fats that help absorb fat-soluble vitamins. This complete package supports not just muscle building, but overall health in ways that isolated supplements cannot replicate. Let me tell you about Mrs. Patricia O'Brien, a 69-year-old retired nurse from Boston. Patricia knew a lot about nutrition from her healthcare background, but she'd fallen into the trap of oversupplementation. She was taking protein powder, branched-chain amino acids, creatine, vitamin D, calcium, magnesium, and several other supplements. Her monthly supplement bill was over $400. She came to me because despite all this, she felt constantly tired, her digestion was poor, and she wasn't seeing the muscle maintenance results she expected. When I reviewed her regimen, I found several problems. First, some of her supplements were causing digestive issues and actually reducing her appetite for real food. Second, she was taking such high doses of isolated nutrients that they were potentially interfering with each other's absorption. Third, and most importantly, her actual diet was poor. She'd become so focused on supplements that she often skipped meals or ate minimally, thinking the supplements covered her needs. I worked with Patricia to gradually reduce her supplements while dramatically improving her whole food intake. We started with adding eggs to her breakfast, along with other protein-rich whole foods throughout the day. Within a month, her digestion improved significantly. Within 3 months, her energy levels had increased, and she was actually building more muscle with her exercise routine than she had while taking all those supplements. She cut her supplement spending down to just a basic multivitamin and vitamin D during winter months, saving hundreds of dollars while feeling better than she had in years. If this information is surprising you, wait until you hear about the timing factor. There's been a lot of discussion about when to eat protein for muscle building. While protein timing does matter somewhat, what matters far more is getting adequate, high-quality protein spread throughout the day. Research shows that older adults benefit most from having a good protein source at each meal, rather than loading up all their protein at dinner, which is what many people tend to do. This is where eggs become incredibly practical. They're affordable, versatile, quick to prepare, and can be incorporated into any meal. Breakfast eggs are obvious, but you can also add hard-boiled eggs to lunch salads, make egg-based dinners like frittatas or vegetable scrambles, or even have a couple of boiled eggs as a snack. This flexibility makes it much easier to distribute your protein intake throughout the day. Mr. David Kim, a 71-year-old retired accountant from Seattle, perfectly illustrates this point. David had a typical eating pattern for many older adults. He'd have coffee and maybe toast for breakfast, a light lunch, and then a large dinner. He was taking a protein supplement after his morning walk, but the rest of his day was protein sparse. When I met him, he was struggling with muscle loss and complained of feeling weak, especially in the mornings and afternoons. We restructured David's eating pattern to include protein at each meal, starting with 3 eggs for breakfast, along with vegetables and whole grain toast. He'd have another protein source at lunch, perhaps chicken or fish with a salad, and a balanced dinner. Within weeks, David noticed he had more sustained energy throughout the day. After 3 months, his muscle mass measurements had improved, and he told me he felt steady and strong all day long, not just after his large evening meal. The cost factor is something we cannot ignore. In my practice, I work with many older adults on fixed incomes, and the cost of supplements can be truly burdensome. A container of quality protein powder might cost $30 to $60 and last a month. Amino acid supplements add another $20 to $40. Add in other muscle-supporting supplements, and you're easily spending $100 to $200 monthly. Meanwhile, a dozen eggs costs anywhere from $3 to $8 depending on type and location. For the price of 1 month of supplements, you could buy eggs for several months. Mrs. Helen Rodriguez, an 81-year-old widow from Phoenix, came to me with this exact situation. Helen was living on Social Security and a small pension. She'd been convinced by a well-meaning friend to buy expensive supplements for muscle health, but the cost was forcing her to cut corners on her grocery budget. She was buying cheaper, less nutritious foods to afford the supplements. When I saw her food diary, I was concerned. She was eating processed foods, very little fresh produce, and minimal high-quality protein from whole foods. We had an honest conversation about priorities. I explained that no supplement could make up for a poor overall diet, and that she'd be far better off spending her money on nutritious whole foods, including eggs, rather than expensive powders and pills. Helen was relieved. She told me she'd felt guilty that she couldn't afford all the supplements people recommended, and now she felt empowered to focus on real food. 6 months later, she was eating better than she had in years, had more energy, maintained her independence, and her muscle health markers had actually improved compared to when she was taking supplements but eating poorly. Now, I want to address a concern many people have about eating eggs regularly. What about cholesterol and heart health? This is an area where the science has evolved significantly over the past decades. For most healthy people, eating up to 1 to 3 eggs per day does not negatively impact heart health and does not significantly raise blood cholesterol levels. The saturated fat from other sources like fatty meats and full-fat dairy in excess, trans fats, and refined carbohydrates have much more impact on heart health than eggs do. In fact, some research suggests that the nutrients in eggs, particularly the choline and antioxidants like lutein and zeaxanthin, may actually support heart and brain health. However, I always tell my patients that individual factors matter. If you have diabetes, existing heart disease, or certain genetic conditions affecting cholesterol metabolism, you should discuss your egg intake with your doctor. For most people, though, eggs are not only safe, but beneficial when part of a balanced diet. Mr. Thomas Anderson, a 73-year-old retired pilot from Denver, had been avoiding eggs for 20 years because his doctor in the 1990s told him they'd raise his cholesterol. When he came to me, he was taking statin medication for high cholesterol, was significantly overweight, and had concerning muscle loss. His diet was heavy in bread, pasta, processed snacks, and he rarely ate any eggs, fish, or other nutrient-dense proteins. I explained that current evidence doesn't support avoiding eggs for most people with high cholesterol, especially when the alternative is a diet lacking in high-quality protein and essential nutrients. What likely contributed more to his cholesterol issues was his overall dietary pattern, high in refined carbohydrates and processed foods, combined with insufficient physical activity. We introduced eggs back into his diet, improved his overall food quality, and increased his activity level with guidance from his cardiologist who agreed with this approach. Thomas was amazed by the results. Within 6 months, his muscle mass had improved. He'd lost some weight because the protein-rich meals kept him fuller longer, and his cholesterol numbers actually improved. His doctor reduced his statin dose. Thomas told me that all those years he'd been afraid of the wrong thing. He'd been avoiding one of the most nutritious foods available while filling up on foods that were actually problematic. For those of you still watching, I want to emphasize practical ways to incorporate eggs into your muscle-building nutrition plan. The key is consistency and pairing eggs with other nutritious foods. A perfect muscle-building breakfast might include 3 eggs scrambled with vegetables like spinach, tomatoes, and peppers, served with whole-grain toast, and perhaps some avocado. This combination gives you high-quality protein, healthy fats, fiber, vitamins, and minerals all working together. Variety in preparation can help prevent boredom. Scrambled, fried, poached, hard-boiled, soft-boiled, made into omelets or frittatas, baked into vegetable dishes. Eggs are incredibly versatile. You can prepare hard-boiled eggs in advance and keep them in your refrigerator for quick snacks or easy additions to meals. This convenience factor is important, especially for older adults who might have reduced energy for cooking. Mrs. Yuki Tanaka, a 70-year-old retired teacher from Los Angeles, struggled with meal preparation due to arthritis in her hands. She found cooking complicated meals difficult and had been relying heavily on prepackaged foods and meal replacement shakes. When I suggested eggs as a convenient, easy-to-prepare protein source, she was hesitant at first, thinking she couldn't manage cooking them with her hand pain. We talked about the simplest preparation methods. Hard-boiling a batch of eggs once a week required minimal hand use. Using a non-stick pan with cooking spray made scrambling eggs easier without needing to crack and whisk multiple eggs. She could even make simple egg muffins by mixing eggs with pre-cut vegetables and baking them in muffin tins, then storing them for the week. Yuki found these strategies manageable, and having easy access to nutritious protein improved both her nutrition and her energy levels. She told me she felt more capable and independent because she could prepare nutritious food despite her physical limitations. I also want to address the quality question. Should you buy organic eggs, free-range eggs, or are regular conventional eggs sufficient? From a muscle building and nutrition standpoint, all eggs contain high-quality protein and essential nutrients. Eggs from hens raised on pasture or fed omega-3 enriched diets may have slightly higher levels of certain nutrients like omega-3 fatty acids and vitamin D, but conventional eggs are still highly nutritious. My advice is to buy the best quality eggs you can afford, but don't let perfect be the enemy of good. If your budget only allows for conventional eggs, that's absolutely fine. The most important thing is eating them regularly as part of a balanced diet. An expensive organic egg sitting unbought at the store helps no one, while an affordable conventional egg eaten regularly can significantly improve your nutrition and muscle health. Something else I've noticed in my practice is that people often underestimate how much protein they actually need as they age. While younger adults might need about 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight daily, research suggests older adults benefit from higher amounts, roughly 1 to 1.2 grams per kilogram daily, or even up to 1.5 for very active older adults. For a person weighing 70 kilograms, that's 70 to 100 grams of protein daily. This increased need is because older bodies are less efficient at using protein to build and maintain muscle, a phenomenon called anabolic resistance. We need more protein per meal to trigger the same muscle-building response that younger people get from less protein. This is why those 3 eggs at breakfast, providing about 18 grams of protein plus the leucine content, can be so effective for older adults. Mr. Frank Weber, a 78-year-old former construction worker from Milwaukee, came to me after a hospitalization for pneumonia had left him significantly weaker. He'd lost weight and muscle mass during his illness, and he was struggling to recover. His appetite was poor, and well-meaning family members were giving him supplement shakes, but he found them unappealing and they upset his stomach. We focused on getting Frank to eat small, frequent, protein-rich meals that were appetizing and easy to digest. Eggs became central to his recovery. He could manage 2 eggs for breakfast, maybe an egg salad sandwich for lunch, and some chicken or fish for dinner. The concentrated nutrition in eggs, combined with their easy digestibility, made them perfect for someone in recovery. Within 2 months, Frank had regained most of his strength and weight. His family was amazed at his recovery, and Frank credited the simple, nutritious foods, especially eggs, with helping him get his life back. Now, while I'm obviously enthusiastic about eggs, I want to be clear that they're part of a comprehensive approach to muscle health, not a magic solution on their own. Muscle building and maintenance require 3 key elements: adequate high-quality protein, progressive resistance exercise, and overall good nutrition including adequate calories, vitamins, and minerals. Eggs excel at providing concentrated, complete protein along with many essential nutrients, but they work best as part of a varied, balanced diet. Combine your egg-rich meals with plenty of vegetables and fruits for vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. Include whole grains for energy and fiber. Add other protein sources like fish, poultry, legumes, and lean meats throughout the week. Include healthy fats from sources like olive oil, nuts, and avocados. And crucially, engage in regular resistance training or strength exercises appropriate for your age and ability level. Mrs. Carla Santos, a 65-year-old yoga instructor from San Francisco, understood this balance intuitively. She came to me not because she had problems, but because she wanted to optimize her health as she aged. Carla already ate well, including eggs several times a week, plenty of plants, fish, and whole grains. She practiced yoga daily and did light strength training twice weekly. Her question was whether she should add supplements to further improve her results. After reviewing her diet and activity level, I told Carla honestly that she was already doing remarkably well. Her blood work was excellent, her muscle mass was appropriate for her age, and she had great functional fitness. Adding expensive supplements would likely provide minimal additional benefit given her already excellent diet and lifestyle. Carla represents what I hope more people can achieve: optimal health through real food and appropriate activity, rather than relying on a medicine cabinet full of supplements. Here's something else I've learned that might surprise you. The psychological aspect of nutrition matters more than most people realize. When people rely heavily on supplements, they often develop an unhealthy relationship with food. They start seeing meals as less important, or they feel anxious if they miss their supplement routine. Food becomes medicalized rather than enjoyed. This can lead to decreased appetite, less social eating, and reduced pleasure in meals. In contrast, when people focus on nutritious whole foods like eggs, they often rediscover the joy of eating. They can share meals with family, try new recipes, and feel satisfied rather than just meeting a nutritional obligation. This psychological shift can significantly impact overall health and quality of life. Mr. Alan Foster, a 74-year-old retired librarian from Portland, perfectly illustrated this point. He'd become so obsessed with his supplement routine that mealtimes had become stressful. He tracked every shake, every pill, every timing window. He stopped accepting dinner invitations from friends because it would interfere with his supplement schedule. His wife was worried because he seemed anxious and was withdrawing socially. When we talked about transitioning to a food-first approach with eggs and other whole foods as the foundation, Alan was initially resistant. He felt like giving up supplements meant giving up his health efforts. But I helped him see that the stress and social isolation were actually harming his health, and that getting nutrition from enjoyable, shared meals could be just as effective, if not more so. It took time, but Alan gradually shifted his focus. He started having breakfast with his wife again, accepting dinner invitations, and actually enjoying food. His physical health remained excellent, but more importantly, his mental health and quality of life improved dramatically. For those of you who are currently taking multiple supplements, I'm not saying you should throw everything away tomorrow. Changes should be gradual and ideally discussed with your healthcare provider, especially if you have medical conditions or take medications. But I do encourage you to honestly evaluate whether your supplements are truly necessary or whether you could achieve better results by investing that money and attention into high-quality whole foods. Keep your supplement costs for a month and compare that to what you could buy in eggs, fish, vegetables, fruits, and other nutritious whole foods. Track how you feel on your current supplement routine versus how you might feel with improved whole food nutrition. Many of my patients are shocked to discover they feel better, have more energy, and see better results with the food-first approach. As we reach the end of our time together, I want you to think about this. Your body is incredibly intelligent. It's designed to extract and use nutrients from whole foods, not from isolated powdered or capsulated compounds. While modern supplements have their place, they cannot replace the complex nutritional wisdom contained in foods like eggs that humans have been eating for thousands of years. 3 eggs at breakfast provides not just protein, but a complete package of nutrients that work synergistically to support muscle health, brain function, energy production, and overall well-being. They're affordable, accessible, versatile, and most importantly, they work. You don't need fancy marketing claims or expensive packaging. You need real food that nourishes your body the way nature intended. If you're over 60 and concerned about maintaining your strength, independence, and quality of life, I encourage you to make eggs a regular part of your nutrition plan. Aim for 2 to 3 eggs at breakfast or spread throughout the day in ways that work for your lifestyle. Combine them with vegetables, whole grains, and other nutritious foods. Stay active with appropriate exercise. And watch how your body responds. Will eggs alone solve everything? No. Health is multifaceted. But will they provide a foundation of high-quality nutrition that supports your muscle health better than most supplements? Absolutely. And you'll likely save money, enjoy your food more, and feel better in the process. Remember, maintaining your muscle mass and strength as you age isn't about finding the latest supplement trend. It's about consistently providing your body with the complete, high-quality nutrition it needs, combined with appropriate physical activity. Eggs are one of the most effective, affordable, and accessible ways to do exactly that. I hope this information empowers you to make choices that support your health and independence for years to come. If you found this helpful, please give this video a like and share it with someone who might benefit. Leave your questions in the comments. I read them all and use them to create future content. And remember, always discuss any significant dietary changes with your healthcare provider, especially if you have existing health conditions. Your health is your most valuable asset. Invest in it wisely, with real food, appropriate activity, and the knowledge that simple, time-tested approaches often work better than complicated, expensive alternatives. Thank you for watching, and here's to your continued strength and health.